Have to do a public service announcement for the gym, apparently. People have forgotten how to act, so let's go over some moves that I think will make you a more improved gym patron. Fellas, lay off the cologne. I know how it feels to not want to let go of the GTL phase, believe me. I had a 14-year-old call my Snooki Bump vintage wholeheartedly, not in jest, this year. And letting go of that has been freeing. Boys, what happens when you wear cologne to the gym is then you're the type of person who wears cologne to the gym. A heavy finger, you know what I'm saying? Your neighbors know you're gone because your trail is wafting through their windows like a sweet, sweet bro pie that nobody wants to eat. You're sweating out last night, baby, second you hop on that treadmill. You've been to the gym before, right? Even if it was your first day, they still gave you a tour. Did you see any open windows? 'Cause I don't see any open windows. Leave your Dior at the door. Besides, your natural pheromones will lure you a lover in no time. And if that doesn't work, I'm sure you have a great personality. Speaking of Dior's, I got shoulder checked in the doorway of the gym. Let's not shoulder check people in the doorways of gyms. This girl was staring deep into the pits of her phone and she couldn't have been paid to look up. And she checked me. I wasn't rattled, and I'm not saying that to sound absolutely badass. I'm saying it so it's clear to you that I wasn't rattled. But I was saddened. Here I am in my little world having my little thoughts only to get shoulder checked by her little shoulders while I'm in my sanctuary to maintain this ass that just won't quit. Look up, move to the side. If you're gonna text, you look like an asshole texting like this. And you're not an asshole, right? Wipe down your machine when you're done. Even if you're just mixing COVID drops with purple Windex, just do it. And if you're taking the long way to throw out your paper towel in the trash, you caught. And the only place out of here that you'll see me is in your spank bank.
Duh.
Welcome to the Rocky Rundown, where you get to learn a little bit about my week. Party God Squad, hello. Did you have a good week? Maybe you did, and that's what matters most to me. And if you didn't, go buy yourself a ring pop, eat it, and then tell me how you feel. Got absolutely trashed on Wednesday night with the girls. It was so fun. How the four of us managed to be louder than the party of 12 next to us is on them. They got voices, and we weren't silencing them. We were drinking pitchers of margaritas. That's why I was so wasted. That's what I say when I retell the story. Oh, I was drinking margaritas, and I never drink margaritas. Guys, it had nothing to do with the margaritas. It was the amount of margaritas that I consumed down my throat. I have a very sensitive stomach. It's probably the most sensitive stomach you've ever heard of. I also threw up in my sleep my freshman year of college, so subconsciously, if I ever overdrink, I usually puke. This is just a fact. I'm probably also allergic to triple sec, which no one is talking about that silent killer. The point is I went to bed on empty. In the morning, I had to run the quickest errand on my street. What was the errand? That information is not pertinent to the story. It'll move nothing forward, so don't ask yourself, what was the errand, I wonder? Because it doesn't matter. Point is, the errand needed to be done. Post haste. After I completed the errand, I'm trotting home, probably about 100 to 500 feet, whatever a minute to go on the clock in footsteps is, and my mouth was watering. You would have thought there was a honey-baked ham waiting at my doorstep. And because this podcast is inclusive to vegetarians and vegans, you would have thought there was a vegetarian or vegan honey-baked ham waiting on my doorstep because the inside of my mouth was a most popular TLC song. But in a bad way. I was absolutely going to puke on the street. I had a stomach full of Poland Spring water that was set to hit the stage any second. I couldn't stop it. I didn't look back after it happened. I didn't look to the left. I didn't look to the right. I just looked up and I shook my hand out. And I thought, when in the goddamn history books of throwing up has a hand ever stopped puke from exiting a mouth? When? Your hand trying to stop you from puking is like when a hot person who's clinically dumb starts working at your job. Sure, you may want them around at first because they're easy on the eyes and maybe they brush the food off your cheek on your break. But when it comes to them stopping the problem, they just spray it in 6 more directions and leave you with a huge mess to, well, I was going to say clean up, but I basically just ran home and that's on me. This podcast is not called Regular Days. Needless to say, excited for the next gals hang. Went to Atlantic City this week for work, and I think I was rude to a psychic. I don't know. I don't know. My friend got her first palm reading ever, and honestly, I was listening, and she was spot on for her. That's what everyone wants, right? From a psychic, a little validation and reinforcement. You're nailing life, and you're gonna die when you're really old. It's gonna be okay. But while her reading was going on, I was thinking, don't get one, Rock. Bitch, don't get one. Not again. I went through a bit of a psychic phase. I almost couldn't pass one without getting a reading. Then I grew to believe all the answers were inside of me. If you smirked or laughed or chuckled at that, it's because of my timing and because it's true. If you sit with yourself long enough, the answer will reveal itself. Fortunately for that psychic, I hadn't sat with myself for long enough that day, so I got a reading. My heart wasn't in it, though. Life has just been so fun and spontaneous. I felt like when I sat down with the psychic, my first thought was, ugh, no spoilers, please. How do you politely disagree with a psychic without lying? Nothing she said resonated with me. I was doing a lot of, not exactly there. 2 years is soon. I do have sciatica, so maybe that's what you're seeing in my palm. I was telling the truth while simultaneously withholding some of the truth, as if my subtext was, well, if you're so psychic, then why can't you tell me this? She was taking on my projections of invalid psychic readings of yesteryear, bro. That's not cool of me. Either vibe with the psychic or save yourself the 10 Georgies. Had some plumbing issues that had to be addressed for jobs specifically, and our plumber, well, he was on the party god vibration, let me tell you. I always say you can feel people's energy, and yesterday we made ourselves a pal. After he finished everything, I said, I can Venmo you your tip, or I can give you some bud. Which would you prefer? His voice and his face changed, like he was so taken aback that I even suspected that he was part of the ganja gang. The Blunt Buddies, the Weed Warriors, the list goes on. 420 Honeys, the Puff Parade, the Joint Brigade, Smoky Shorties, Roach Riders, Bong Broncos, the Bong Brothers, Bong Water Daughters, Pot Pals. And I told him, oh, no judgment in this house. In fact, I prefer my handymen were stoners. Keep the money in the family. Here you go. Then he asked if he could sit and smoke real quick. The pleasure would be ours, my dude. Have a seat. So we got high with him, learned a little bit about his life, shared some common interests. He said the last time he smoked with clients was 5 years ago. I have to admit this was a first for us, although the exterminator did offer to host a smoke sesh after leaving once, to which I politely declined. He reminded me of Max from Goof Troop as an adult man, in a good way, but not a sexual way, and that's important. Naturally, we were honored to break his seal of smoking post-job with the job ease. Then he went about his day. All 3 of us went about our day. A little higher, a little lighter, and with less problems. That brings us to Rocky's highest thoughts, my most stoned thoughts of the week. Number 1, if you're reading a book while wordless music plays behind you, are you then reading an album? Number 2, I've said this before, and so has Nike. They said it first, but they're so right. Just do it. Number 3, there will always be snakes in the grass, but it's your responsibility to keep them out of your garden. Number 4, calling all inventors. It would be nice to have a stove that went up and down based on your height. And let the record show this was my idea first, courtroom, the defense motherfucking arrests. And number 5, human beings spend 33% of their lives sleeping. If you had the option to hibernate instead of microdosing sleep, which is basically what we're doing now, would you do it? You have 3 months of sleep and 9 months of being fully awake. Also, you have the option to spend and use the 3 months however you want. How would you distribute your 3 months of sleep? Think about it. Before I intro my guest this week, I have some not so fun news to share. A dear friend of mine and many, comedian Megan O'Malley, true blue member of our Party God squad. She appears on episode 40. On July 1st, she survived an apartment fire that destroyed her entire building. And I know Meg, and I know she absolutely will bounce back from this, but just because she will doesn't mean she has to do this alone. There's been a GoFundMe started for her, and you can find that on my link tree. No amount is too small to help someone with such a big heart. And bonus, if you're a podcast host who feels kind enough to give, please hit me up after you donate, and I'll give you a shout out on next week's episode. Thanks, Party God Squad. My guest this week is comedian Meka Mo. Meka's wild word was never go home. So cancel that Uber and set your alarms, baby. If you haven't done so already, please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. You can follow me at Wild Nights with Rocky on TikTok and Instagram, at Wild Nights Pod on Twitter. If you want to watch extended interviews with all of my guests, please subscribe on YouTube. If you feel like supporting the show with your wallet, you can join my Patreon for $2 or $5 a month. A big thank you to everyone who's written and everyone who will write a review after this episode. It really does make a difference. And now, enjoy my Wild Nights conversation with Meka Mo. Meka Mo, welcome. Thank you for doing the podcast.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited. I'm kind of thirsty, but it's fine.
Do you want to grab a glass of water?
I may grab a glass. No, I'll do it. No, don't worry about it. I'll be okay.
Because I do not want anyone to be parched, thirsty, uncomfortable. We're about to have a really fun conversation. So
no, I'm super excited.
Comfort is key. You are just we don't know each other personally, but I've been following your online presence as a comedian. I've checked out your work as a comedian, and I just am so drawn to your energy on stage. You are just a ball of light and hilarity. And I'm excited to have you on. And you're a Queens gal.
Yes, I am.
Yes.
Queens native, most definitely.
Queens native, so it's good. I feel like if you and I were to hit the town together, we might never go home.
Never go home. That's
never
my
go
philosophy.
Home. There we go. So Meka's wild word was never go home. So please, I know I'm excited for your wild night story. The Party God Squad is excited for your wild night story. So give us your wild night story. Never go home.
Definitely. So I was on vacation with my friends, like I do, right? So it was there were 3 of us. So it was my one friend, Sam, and my other friend, Doug. And me and my friend, Sam, we have this philosophy, never go home. It's just like, you on vacation, don't go home. You out in the town in New York City, don't go home. Wherever you are, just never go home, right? Because you don't know what's going to happen. You only go home when, like, that's it, when the sun's coming up, essentially.
Absolutely, yeah. And can I ask where you were on vacation?
So we were in Croatia. I don't know, at the time, everyone was going to Croatia because Game of Thrones. I don't know if y'all remember that.
Yeah.
So in Croatia on Hvar Island, which is like some island you gotta take a boat to, super expensive, but we found a cheap ass Airbnb. The problem was it was during British spring break. So I was like, ooh, I want to hang out with all these small British children or whatever, but that's what was happening. So whatever, we were in Croatia. I don't know where we were. We went off the island to go to this town festival or something. It was great, but there were 12-year-olds drinking. I was like, ooh, this is not America. Anyway, yeah. It's scandalous. And we were coming back to Hvar Island. And like I said, you have to take a boat to get to this island, only way to get to the island. So we're back on Hvar Island. And then it was kind of we were all kind of tired because we did that festival. Yeah. But I was like, maybe we never go home, right?
Yeah,
so
let's keep it up.
Friend, we were on that same vine of never going home. Then my other friend was like, I think I'm gonna go home. It's like, oh, you party pooper. And when there's 3 people, you reduce the energy to 2. So just kind of whatever, party pooper, you suck. So
let me ask you this. The friend that went home, were they somebody who was adding energy to the day throughout it? They were on pace with what you and your other friend were doing?
Yeah, they're always laid back, but they always got a little comment, a little snarky thing to say. Sexy gay man, we was into it. It was fun. Like, so that, the commentary was gone, but I was there to provide the outlandish behavior for sure.
Love it.
So me and my friend were like, well, I don't know. We wanted to go home because actually him leaving brought down the energy. So it's like, but we met these two young, I don't know, British lads, like 19. And at the time we didn't know how young they were. And we were like older. We were like definitely like 25 or 26 or something like that. So like talking to these young men, it was like they were too young for us to be talking to.
Right.
But we talked to these little British boys and we asked them what they were doing. And they were like, well, we're in the nightclub, blah, blah, blah. They're like, you guys should go in there. You guys should go in there. I'm like, why are they acting like that? Why about we should go in there? We should go in there.
Yeah.
Go in there. We'll tell you why you should go in there. I was like, okay, weird. So we get to the door of the nightclub. It's like, okay, whatever. We're not doing anything. Let's go in there.
Yeah.
And then the guys at the front of the nightclub are acting weird too. Like, yeah, you should go in there. You should go in there. I'm like, why is everybody acting like that? And I'm like, well, how much is it? And I don't know. They told us some number. And I was like, I'm not paying that. It was like too expensive.
Too high.
It was too high, the number. I was like, they were like, it's worth it. It's worth it. Being in New York, in Croatia, so I just negotiated the price, right?
Of course, yeah.
So basically, I was like, whatever they were charging for like one ticket, I was gonna charge for two or something like that, something stupid.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, I gotta go in and check it out, and they wouldn't let me. So I was like, what's happening in this club? Anyway, we paid whatever the reduced price was. Go into the nightclub. Nothing special happening. I'm just like, okay, it's Havar Island. So all the clubs are like outside, big, like discotheques, whatever, but they're all outside. They have all this like amazing looking stuff.
Okay.
Anyway, I walked to the back, didn't see nothing, but I was like, let me go to the bar and get a drink. So I see crowded bars. As a New Yorker, every time I see a crowded bar, I used to do this thing where I like put my hand on the bar and like push myself up. And basically that meant everyone move out my way. It's just a rude New York thing. You know how we do it.
Yeah. You got to get in where you fit in.
Exactly. But there was this guy there and he was all British. And I was like, oh, more British people. And I make fun of British people as we all do. I was like, blah, 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 like whatever. So basically, he was saying blah, blah, blah into my chest. And my breasts were like, I don't know, nightclub back in the day. We used to wear low cut things. So he's like making fun of me or whatever. Yeah, my breasts were away. And then after I pushed my whole body up. Way.
We're coming through. Me and the girls are coming through. So you're either in the way or out of the way.
We want a drink. And I was like, well, at least you're going to stay on my breast, give me a drink. So he just gives me a drink. I'm like, whose drink is this? I was like, I need a new drink.
Yeah.
So he like, the bartender pours a shot or whatever. So I'm looking this way because we're at a bar, if you would think. Yeah. So I'm about to take a shot with him. And I cheers and I see this like guy that looks familiar. I'm like, who is that guy? Like, I'm in Croatia. Like, I don't know this man. Who is this white man? Like,
yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God. As the more I look at him and I'm like not taking the drink. I'm like, oh my God, that is Prince Harry. It is fucking Prince Harry. I was like, is that Prince Harry? And then like, he's like, of course it's Prince Harry. And then we both take shots and I'm like freaking out. And so I like had my camera in the back of my in my bag. I don't know.
Yeah.
Back in the day, we had cameras. Like this was like
we did. Yes, we did.
Yeah, fucking cameras. So like I literally take a shot in his face and it goes flash, like in his face, like flash. And I'm like, and then like he gets mad and like comes up to me. He's like, don't fucking take pictures of me. And I was like,
Did he have security detail with him?
Nothing.
Wow.
It was one of these rare occasions. I'll explain that a little later.
Yes.
But I literally, and then I started yelling, and then his friend he's like, well, girl, you need to calm down, like telling me, like with his British accent. I was like, I can't believe that he gives me another drink. And I was like, where did this drink from? And he's like, it's Harry's drink. And then I don't know why I take this drink, start dancing with this British man everywhere. And then like, we were on a couch and then I fell, right?
Oh,
so this all happened. We were on the couch when I fell. I was like, wait, I have to go to the bathroom. That's the only reason why I came back here. I don't know why I got distracted, ADD. So anyway, I went to the bathroom. I looked at my camera because I still wasn't convinced that was Prince Harry.
Yeah.
And oh my God, it was fucking Prince Harry.
On your camera.
On my camera. So I started screaming and limping and like, because I had fell off that couch dancing with this British man.
You were in pain.
Basically, I run back to my friends, because remember, I was there with someone.
Yeah.
My friend, I had left her with those 2 young 19-year-olds. Can you believe? So she's like literally in a corner with like these young men. And I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, guess who's here? They're like, so the 19-year-olds, they knew he was here. That's why they told us to come in. Because remember the beginning of the story,
Yeah,
they're like, want to go in. And they're like, oh, look at these good. They're like, we know who's here. We know who's here. And then my friend's like, who's here? And I'm like, girl, it's Prince Harry. And we start jumping up and down. And these little 19-year-olds start making fun of us.
Yeah.
It's like, look at these silly girls like jumping up. I was like, first of all, it's Prince Harry. I was like, girl, come with me. Prince Harry also cursed me out. He said, don't you fucking take pictures of me. And then she was like, where is he now? So we started plotting, right?
Yeah.
Plotting how we gonna go back up to Prince Harry because we see him. So it's weird. So I was with one of his friends. Now, here's the thing about Prince Harry. That's why I said I would get back to this.
Yeah.
This was like, you could Google this story. This is the time he like escaped and he left with 2 of his best friends, like this one bald guy with like hair on the side. I don't know. He got a weird hair. That's the guy who came up to me with the curly do piece on the sides or whatever.
Yeah.
And he had another bald friend or whatever. They all like, I don't know, dukes, whatever. So he left like, true, this is like during Wild Harry days. So he left like, and like ran away, took an easy jet or some sort of like, I don't know, Ryanair flight to Croatia with no security, and like nobody in the palace knew that he was leaving. So it was just him. He had one security guard, like one guy he was with.
Yeah.
So it was just him, his 2 friends, and this one security dude. So oddly enough, me and my friend, we're still plotting on this Prince Harry shit because we're just like, Prince Harry. We go to the bar because we're like, I couldn't find that guy with the weird fuzzy hair on the side, but we saw a bald man and he was looking at my friend. So we were like, anyway, buy us drinks if you're gonna be hanging out here. Yeah. And like just to like as a ploy for Harry, if that makes any sense. Like yes. Harry was on this side, bald dude was on this side. So we just talking to bald dude to like just be like, hey, we looking at Harry, but yeah, like you know what I mean? Yes. But we hit the jackpot again. Cause guess what? Remember I said he came with 2 friends? Yes. That was the other friend. Him and the bald guy and the bald guy with these hairs, they're brothers. And he had on a South Africa ring. I was like, ooh, they're colonizers too. That old, you know, they stole people's ships, planes, art, all that. You had their number, yeah. I was like, ooh, this is some royalty, bitch. You see that? Why he got an Africa ring on? Why he talking to all the Black people in the club? Colonizers. Anyway, that's besides the point. That's besides the point. He is friends with Harry. So basically, I was like, I would like to apologize to Harry, right? Because I fucked up with, you know, what I did, whatever. So he's like, yeah, sure, I'll tell him, blah, blah, blah. So actually, the bald man arranged, like, I don't know, we were in a club. It was nothing cool. But basically, Harry came up to me. I was like, I'm so sorry for taking that picture of you. And so Harry was like, in his big drunken days, did not talk. Looked down at me because he's tall. Like I'm 5'9", but he's 6 something. Oh, I didn't know that. He is a tall man. He ain't no short man. He's tall. So he looked down at me and he just like, again, my breasts were out. So he literally hugs me like this and goes like this and kissed me on the cheek. And I was like, yes, Prince Harry, kiss me.
Oh my God. So needless to say, he forgave you.
He forgave me. Prince Harry forgave me of all my things. We ended up hanging out with his friends. There was a whole bunch of this story. I don't have that much time to go out into it, but it was a crazy night. I don't even know if you can still Google it, out on our island, but he was like jumping off boats naked. He was acting crazy. It was like one of those like classic Prince Harry nights. Like, wow.
And you were there for it.
And I was randomly, because I didn't go home. And guess what? My friend who went home, oh my God. To this day, he talks about it. He's so mad. Yeah. He's like, I'm never going home again. Yeah. We had a good night's sleep, but we came back in like 6 a.m. Like, of course, having this amazing night. And he's like, what happened? You met who? So yeah. Don't go home.
Don't go home, baby. Don't go home. Now, with Prince Harry hugging you, forgiving you, you said there was a little bit more to it, but you know, that's a whole nother for another day. But with him hanging out, were you able to have a little bit of one-on-one conversation with him at all, or it was just the two goons to his left and right?
So you have to remember, and I'm acting like I know Harry, but I don't. At this time, he was a belligerent drunk, so he was not
Gotcha.
talking. He was
Yeah.
just being like, he was passed out. Like, so he did his thing and then passed out.
Yes.
And like just his best friends, they were talking.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Isn't that the way though? It's, people put everybody on a pedestal, and he's literally on a pedestal because I guess, is he an ex-prince now?
I guess he really, you know what? I'm actually so proud of him.
Me too.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
how far he's come. Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
guess so. He's just like, I'm done with it, but he'll always be Prince Harry. Come on.
Always be Prince Harry. But that is just kind of like the way people get put on these pedestals. And in the meantime, he's just drunk at a club, can't talk like any other Joe Schmo that we know from regular life. You know what I mean? People are just people, but with titles.
Exactly. No, exactly. And
You
I feel like he realized that, and he's like, what am I doing? Like living this life, and like they're disrespecting his wife and his baby. He better go ahead.
Yeah, and he got it together. He got it together. Well, that is indeed wild. What an excellent vacation spot to pick, and then to actually go on vacation and have something like that happen. Because sometimes you expect things like that to happen in America. You go out in New York, if you go somewhere fancy, if you go out to LA and there's a lot of celebrities there, even somewhere like Chicago, Austin, any of those big cities, Miami. But to be in another country that's not even the celebrity's home country, that's some wild shit. That's some wild shit for real.
Most definitely. And then during British spring break, I was like, this is horrible.
Yeah. There's all these kids.
It led to Prince Harry being there.
Now, was that the beginning of your trip or the end?
So that was the middle of the trip.
Okay.
So it was like, I think, we arrived in Zagreb, which is like the capital of Croatia. Beautiful city, loved it. And then we went to Split for a night. That was fabulous. And then from Split, you have to go to Split, and then you take the boat to Hvar Island.
Okay.
So we're spending like 2 days in Hvar Island, just hanging out. And the next day we left Hvar, and then we had more time in Croatia. But it was the middle of the trip. It was a highlight. I mean, the whole trip was fire. Yeah. But like nothing beats that crazy story, because I love Prince Harry. So.
Yeah. And also, that gives you something to, not that you wouldn't have something to talk about, but it gives you like that kind of, can you believe that even happened on this vacation? It gives it that dream-like kind of filter over it. That's incredible. That was wild for sure. That was wild for sure. Now, do you go on a lot of vacations?
So I used to, I guess, pandemic, but like, I guess, I travel a lot. I love traveling. So
I get vacation energy from you. Like you're someone who did,
we always try to go on vacation. Yeah. So I guess people like save their money. I spend most of my money on holidays. So people buy bags and purses. Like I will shop at Rainbow, but I will catch those flights. Like,
Yeah. Besides Croatia meeting Prince Harry, where's your most favorite place that you've been?
Oh, well, I mean, everywhere is so great for, I have certain, so I like, as a country, I really like India. I lived in India for a little bit. I traveled around India a lot. So I really love that country. It's just like, I don't know. It's like, almost like, I don't know. It's India. There's everywhere else. And then there's India. Like, that's how I feel. Yeah. It's different. Like, I don't know, to me as an American, I just feel like every time I go to India, I'm like, what is happening? This is so crazy, everything, and it's like so much energy.
That's awesome. That's amazing. And well, the good thing about living in New York City, you get a little flavor of everything. So
no, that's the thing. Like I grew up in Queens. Like I guess for me, I grew up like my mom was the only mom that spoke English back in the day. So like for me, I've always felt like a citizen of the world. So like why wouldn't I see the world? You know what I mean? So that's grew up around a lot of Croatians too. Like one of my best friends growing up is Croatian. That's why I was like, oh, let's go to Croatia. Yeah, we can go there.
Yeah. I actually didn't know Croatia was a country until I went to college. There was somebody named Felice who everybody loved. He was like this really well-liked guy at my school, and his family was Croatian. And I was like, oh, what's Croatia? And then, you learn about it but that's how you learn by meeting different people from different walks of life. So that's beautiful. And you're not the only one who says that about Croatia. Everybody who travels there says this shit is just beautiful.
It's gorgeous. The people are gorgeous. Like, the land is gorgeous. Everything's gorgeous. Yeah.
And don't you feel like traveling gives you, I recently read this somewhere. It says traveling is the only thing you can spend money on that makes you richer.
Yeah, it just makes me a better person. Yeah, exactly. You know what's so funny? I was actually trying to tell a young man this the other day because he was like, I want to buy a car. I was like, take some of that money, like, travel. He's like, no, I'd rather buy a car. I'm like, you can buy a car when you get back, like travel, see the world. And he's like, why would I see the world? And it's like, ugh, so many Americans think like that. So I'm just
so many. Well, that's because
so
we're under this capitalism like chokehold. So it's everybody thinks like I got to save every penny because we can see that everything in America is very fleeting. It's really tragic. It's actually really tragic way to spend life. Well, that's really cool. I know that I love to travel as well. I want to have some trips on the docket. I do not at the moment, but I would like to. Do you have anywhere planned your next spot?
So like honestly, unrelated to comedy, actually that's a lie. I'm actually going to Amsterdam because I'm doing the Boom Chicago Festival next weekend. But it says Boom Chicago, but it's in Amsterdam. Yeah. But basically, so I'm going to Amsterdam next week, but for comedy. Ooh. So it's weird now. I travel mostly for comedy, so I'm just kind of like, it seems like work, but yeah. But
you get the days. Yeah, you got the days to do your thing. Well, that's really cool. Amsterdam is very, very high, if not the highest on my list. No pun intended, to places where I want to travel. But right now you're here. You're traveling to Amsterdam next week for the festival. But how are you feeling in the comedy community in New York right now?
I feel great. Like, it's a great time to, I don't know, just be hanging out. For me, it's like, I don't know, we're back. It feels like the first real year that we're back out of the pandemic. Seeing how those dynamics play out. I mean, I guess we were out of the pandemic last year, but I felt like we were kind of still in it. I don't know.
Yes, it is. It is very weird.
But now, I mean, the pandemic's still happening, but we ain't acting like it is. So that's cute. So I like that. Here in New York City, we just had I just wrapped up the Black Women in Comedy Festival about, I don't know, a couple weeks ago at the end of June, and I won Best of Fest, so I'm super excited about that.
Yes.
So yeah, everything's great in New York right now. Just like trying to have this like cute summer. It's so weird. In the summer, I'm always trying to catch a vibe. So I'm trying to figure out like, like what types of shows do I want to do? Do I want to work hard? Do I not want to work hard? So kind of just going with the flow, seeing what I get booked on and just hanging out.
Going with the flow, it is hard to find that balance, right? Because we have, as New Yorkers, we have that hustler mentality, but also the world, like you open your door and it's a playground. So
yeah, it's like, what's that balance between summer and work? I don't know.
And then plus being inside for as long as we were, and when the weather is so cold here in New York, you're like, I don't want to go out anywhere. But it is nice to play in summer in New York. Are you still producing? You produce a show, right?
Purple Park Comedy.
Purple Park Comedy. Are you still producing that?
Yeah, still produce Purple Park Comedy. We do not have a date for this. It's a monthly show, so it's usually the second Sunday at QED Astoria. I'm going to Amsterdam, so we're taking this off, but we might do a pop-up at the end of the month. But the best way to catch information on that is to follow Purple Park Comedy on Instagram. Because that's where you kind of get that information. Follow me, Meka Social, on Instagram. But yeah, still doing Purple Park. And we'll be back at QED second Sunday. I think that's August 14th. So
Love it.
That show's about representing the diversity of Queens, if you will, which means everything, right?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Do you mind giving your social media one more time where everyone can follow you, check you out, and see what you have going on?
Yeah, people can follow me on Instagram at Meka, M-E-K Social. So M-E-K-A Social, like Fabulous. The word. So that's me on Instagram. I guess I'm on Twitter, but I'm not really active on Twitter, honestly. And I just joined TikTok because I guess that's what you have to do now.
It's so hard.
I think I'm like Meka Mo Comedy on TikTok. I never checked that app, but I'm getting more into it now. Yeah, Meka Mo Comedy. So just M-E-K-A-M-O Comedy. Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, everyone should follow Meka, see what she has going on. We want to keep up to date on you in Amsterdam, and I want to check out your show here in Queens.
Yeah, definitely come to Purple Park. Yeah,
I will come to Purple Park. Queens has to stick together. Meka, this was such a beautiful story, so hilarious, so funny, so wild, and it was just so nice getting to know you a little bit.
Nice getting to know you also.
Absolutely, absolutely. We'll talk soon, all right?
Talk soon, bye.
Is it?